Hi, I'm Bibi LeBlanc. I'm here in Dora today with my friend Christina Carroll. I grew up in Germany, in Berlin, with the wall still around, but that's a story for a whole nother day, for another video. And I lived there till I was 18, and growing up, I always dreamt of living in a place that had palm trees, was close to the ocean. So a few years later, I met my husband on a skydiving vacation in Zephyr Hills, Florida, and we got married, and I moved over to Florida. The first year we lived in Miami, and then we moved to DeLand, and I have lived in DeLand since 1991, so more than half my life now. I've always felt like I was a gypsy in a past life or something. And I love traveling, personal growth, and hearing people's stories, meeting people. So I'm here today in Dora. When I first started out exploring Mount Dora, which is not as familiar to me as DeLand and New Smyrna are, the first day I came was a very busy weekend. It was very difficult to take pictures, and so I decided to come back early one morning, and that was the best time to discover Mount Dora, I found, because the locals are walking the streets, they're walking their dogs, they're happy to talk. So I talked to quite a few people about, what should be in it, what they thought was important, and some of the local stories. I love the many coffee shops Mount Dora has. That's a lot of fun, and it's always a tough decision which one to go to when I come over here. And so I was in one of the coffee shops one day, and I asked a young woman who was working there about, what should be in the coloring book. And I walk outside, and there's the wall surrounding the Shiva, the Indian restaurant, and that is just so cool and unique. And I was trying to find out the story behind it. I couldn't find anything really online, didn't know who the artist was, who owned it, and so I kept asking, and finally Chrissy from Barrels of Books, she put me in touch with Barry Blake, who knew the story, who had the artwork commissioned. And just hearing the whole story behind it was so interesting and fascinating. It's one of the featured pages in the coloring book is the wall at that restaurant that used to be a bookstore. And another story that's fascinating is a story with the Starry Night house. I ended up talking to Nancy recently, the owner of the house, and she was kind enough to let me walk around and take a lot of pictures, and so that'll be in the coloring book. And it's just a lot of fun meeting the local people and hearing their stories and the story behind things that you never see when you just, walk around and find things. So in the process of creating the coloring book for DeLand, I discovered that I really enjoy doing that kind of work, taking the pictures, meeting the people, hearing their stories, and decided to do more of it. And my second town was New Smyrna Beach, because I have a lot of connection there. My son works there, and we went there, spent a lot of time in the summers there with I have 3 boys, they were surfers. And so second town was New Smyrna Beach. And then I was thinking about what's next, and I kind of remember Mount Dora. We spent some time here. One of my sons was doing a sailing camp a few years ago here in Mount Dora with the yacht club. And it's such a cute little town with so much character. And had been over here because my mother-in-law was English. I had taken her to the Windsor Rose tea room and loved it, and so I decided Mount Dora was next because it's still pretty close to DeLand, and I can come out here easily to keep working and talk to people, meet people, and it's been a lot of fun creating this book. Mount Dora has been such a welcoming place, and the people have been so excited about the project and very supportive. Like, I met with the president of the lawn bowling club, which is one of the biggest one in the country, and he gave me the tour and told me all about the sport and what they do, and so that was a lot of fun and very interesting. Like, I had no idea that was such a big sport. And talked to Ray from the pickleball club that's at Donnelly Park, and he was very interesting. It was great talking to him, and then we're at Barrels of Books and Games right now. Chrissy's been a great resource and a lot of help, and I'm really looking forward to the book signing they want to host. People from the Chamber of Commerce have been tremendously helpful. They've answered all my questions that I've had. One of the things that I open every book with is a page of the local history of that town. So I connected with Carolyn from the History Museum. She's the president at the History Museum, and we met, and she gave me the tour of the museum and told me some inside stories, and that was a lot of fun and very interesting. And also like gave me some different information, because I had done some research on the history of Mount Dora, and there's a lot of stories and some little discrepancies here and there, and about the beginnings of Mount Dora, how it all got started, you know, the first settlers here and the first mayor, and that he liked to tell tall tales and, you know, was an interesting character. And on the websites you'll read that Mount Dora is named after Dora Dodry, who was one of the early settlers. But then when you look at documents, it shows that she didn't move here until much later. So nobody really knows for sure how Mount Dora got its name. Everybody I came in touch with that's local mentioned is Amy Sellers, the local artist, and I love her art. I love her colors and what she portrays in the pictures, and so we were said go to her gallery has to be in it. Well, it turns out she had closed her gallery, but she has a bed and breakfast that's close to town, so that'll be in the coloring book. And I actually got to meet with her, and she showed me her bed and breakfast and her art. She had a little gallery in her place, and she's just so creative and such an inspiration. And the things she does and her life story, and it's just very interesting, and I loved meeting with her. That was one of the highlights of putting this book together. In my research about Mount Dora, when I first started out, I came across Christina. She has a Facebook page called Mount Dora Off the Beaten Path, and it's really cool, and I contacted her because I'm trying to capture some of the things that the everyday tourist wouldn't necessarily find. And so I started talking to her. We met at a coffee shop, found that we have a lot in common and similar interests and stuff, and we started working together and brainstorming, exploring Mount Dora, and she gave me some great tips on what to put into it. And she's been a great help, and so I have the manuscript, I guess, in my hands here with all the different images. Every page has a story to tell, really. Dora Brewery, Rockin' Rabbits, that's such a cool logo, it had to be in there. And the story behind it too. It used to be an old workshop, and it still is. They kept the look and just turned it into a bar and restaurant and garden family restaurant, and very nice place. And so one of my favorite images is this picture from Christina, her dog, on this big chair down here in the park that you can go take your own picture at with you in it. One of the things I'd like to do, when I first started with DeLand, when I finished the book, I met with the mayor and handed him a copy, and I'd like to do that here in Mount Dora too, so I hope to meet the mayor of Mount Dora one day. A friend of mine gave me a little poster a little while ago, a sign, and it's in German, but it said something like, don't chase things too much, let them come to you. And this whole coloring book thing it's just like, it was this little seed that fell into my lap, and you know, I could have just let it sit there, or I could have watered and nurtured it, and I just decided to go with it, jump in full force, and that's how DeLand happened. And now it's opened so many doors, and I've met so many cool and interesting people that it's been amazing, an amazing journey. And I just can encourage anybody to just follow their heart or follow their gut and just trust the process and see what happens, and pay attention to the little signs and things that happen to them, and just go out there and be creative and live your life and do what you love.
Take to the highway, won't you lend me your name? Your way and my way seem to be one and the same. Mama don't understand it, she wants to know where I've been. I'd have to be some kind of natural born fool to wanna pass that way again, but you know I could feel it on a country road. But I can hear a heavenly band full of angels, and they're coming to set me free. I don't know nothing about the wild wind, but I can tell you that it's bound to be, because I could feel it, child, yeah. country road. I guess my feet know where they want me to go, walking on a country road, yeah. Take to the highway, won't you lend me your name? Your way, my way, we seem to be one and the same child. Mama don't understand it, she wants to know where I've been. I have to be some kind of natural born fool, I wanna pass that way again, but I could feel it low on a country road. Walk on down, walk on down, walk on down, walk on down, walk on down a country road.